This could be our most important game of the season. Chelsea have the opportunity to advance to our second cup final this season as we take on the current Premier League champions Manchester City in an enticing FA Cup semi-final tie. Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome to the lead-in. Let's set the scene here. Firstly, I should mention that I'm recording this well in advance of the game, so things may be inaccurate. As I've mentioned previously, and you'll probably know, I'm currently on holiday. I didn't want to not preview this game as it's so important, so let's get right into it. It's Chelsea versus City, the blue of London versus the blue of Manchester. A win here would see either of these teams have a date with destiny versus either Manchester United or the minnows of this cup so far, Coventry City. For both clubs this game is important, but even more so for Chelsea I'd like to suggest. At this current time we do not have a clear path to European competition next season, and by the time this video goes out, this may be our only chance of getting it. For City, this is just another cup, and I don't think they need this as much as we do in the grand scheme of things. So, let's take a look at the potential City team and see what they could be bringing to the table. Firstly, let's talk absentees. Obviously this could change by the time this game rolls around, but as of right now City only have a few injury concerns. Nathan Ake is one of those, and alongside him could be Ederson and Kyle Walker if their injuries persist. I'll be putting Pep Guardiola's side into his standard 3-2-4-1 formation for this fixture, with a slightly rotated rear guard. First up in goal though is going to be their number 2, Stefan Ortega. Not much to say here, he's the obvious replacement for Ederson if he stays injured. The defence is going to be changed from the usual with Ake and Walker absent, so starting on the right of the three will be youngster Rico Lewis. In the centre will be the Portuguese Ruben Diaz as usual, and finally over on the left will of course be Josko Gvardiol. Moving into the midfield, we'll start with the two deeper roles. The very obvious inclusion here is the Spaniard Rodri, who will play alongside Manuel Akanji, who will drop into this role from the back. For the attacking line, it will be a 4. Starting on the right will most likely be Phil Foden, who's been in excellent form as of late. The two centre mids, as always, will be Kevin De Bruyne and Julian Alvarez. And finally, on the left, I'll be putting in Jeremy Doku, though it's a toss-up between him and Jack Grealish in my opinion. That leaves the one man up top, so in the solo striker role will of course be Erling Haaland, who will be looking to do far better than he did last time these two sides faced off. As I said, just a brief overview of what I expect their team to look like. There could be more rotation in the side considering there's a lot of time between me recording this and the actual game, but I think this team is a pretty safe bet. Now let's quickly take a look at how Chelsea could line up. We have a lot of injuries and the majority of them are long-term ones, so I'll be putting out a rather standard lineup and hopefully we don't gain any more injuries by the time this video comes out. I think we'll continue to use the 4-2-3-1 as ever, with a pretty familiar setup to what we've been seeing this season. As always, I'll show what I predict to see from Poch and then give my own lineup afterwards. Starting with the goalkeeper, I'm going to be putting in Đorđe Petrović. As is the norm, the big Serbian steps up with the gloves. Hopefully if the game goes to penalties, he can come up big with a save like he has in the past. The back four is going to be relatively unchanged from what we've seen this season, so starting on the right will of course be Malo Gusto, who's been excellent all season. The centre-back pairing should remain as it has, with Axel Disasi on the right, and partnering him I'd expect to see Benoit Badiashile, though this could be Thiago Silva too. For the left back, I would expect to see Ben Chilwell return by then, and he'll likely get the nod over Cucurella because he'll take the captaincy. Moving into the middle, we'll start with the holding roles. This is the one place where I don't expect any change, with the ever brilliant pairing of Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez retaining their places at the base of midfield as they so often do, and hopefully they can control the game. Ahead of them, in the attacking midfield roles, let's start on the right. Of course it's going to be ex-Manchester City boy Cole Palmer, hoping to crush his former team's hopes of advancing to the final. In the centre, I'd expect Conor Gallagher to start as ever. Hopefully his energy will help us disturb the City midfielders. Over on the left, I'll be putting in Raheem Sterling, who always shows up against City for some reason, and up against Rico Lewis he'll back himself to score once more like he did in the previous fixture. And finally, up top will of course be Nicholas Jackson. I hope that his goal scoring form has continued since I wrote this script, and he'll come up with the goods once more in such an important game. This is what I'm expecting, but what would I personally change? Well, due to me recording this so far in advance, I'm not sure who is available for selection. Instead, I'll show who I'd like to see, even if that's not possible by the time this video drops. Starting with the backline, I'd personally prefer to see Cucurella play instead of Chilwell. I think overall he's been consistently better than Chile, and his aggressiveness could be vital in disturbing the slow, methodical passing of City on the wings. If he's fit by then, I'd love to see Levi Colwill too in the left centre-back spot. I much prefer him to Badiashile under Poch, and his long passing could be the key that helps us unlock the City defence on the counter. The deep midfield 2 won't change, but the advanced 3 will. The central 10 role I'm going to be giving to Mudryk, who's been coming up clutch in games recently, and will be looking to make a similar impact here. I think Gallagher can come off the bench in the second half to provide some much needed energy, especially if the game goes to extra time. We've seen how we drop off in the second half under Pochettino, and I think Gallagher's drive in the second half could be what we need to energise and keep those levels up. I'd like to see cameos for Carney and or Cassidy if they are fit/favoured by then. Likewise, I want to see involvement for Madueke off the bench if he doesn't start. We've seen these two come up with late goals versus Leicester, and they can do a similar job here if we're lucky. So those are my lineups, and I'd like to hear from you guys too, so for today's question of the day, answer me this. Who do you think will be the crucial player in this match for Chelsea, and why? Let me know in the comments down below with QOTD at the start as always, and I'll pin my favourite answer. Now, as I so often do, as we've played City twice in the past and both have been draws, I'm going to briefly analyse what we did well/poorly in those games and point out what I believe we can do to get a result this time around in this match. Firstly, I think that us being the underdogs in this game suits us. We saw from the second game that City were able to be opened up time and time again on the counter, and if we had taken our chances better, it could have been 2 or 3-0 in the first half. City's high press and high line allowed us to utilise our quality playing out from the back, and then play accurate long passes into the space in behind for runners, whether that be Jackson, one of our wingers, or an overlapping fullback like Malo Gusto. Unfortunately, we weren't perfect defensively in that game, far from it in fact. Haaland had about 5 golden chances to put us away and had an absolute rotter, so we were let off the hook, and with how poor we've been defensively in recent times, especially against aerial balls, I doubt Haaland will miss those kinds of opportunities again if given them. We know that we won't have a lot of possession in this game. City almost always have the majority of the ball in any game they play, so we'll have to adjust our game plan from the possession-based football we try to play every week. Poch's chaos ball is all well and good against mid-table teams where we can afford to push everyone forward, but against a powerhouse like City we might have to try and be more pragmatic, else we could be heading home from this tournament. We can sit back, absorb the pressure and hit them on the break. City have more talented individuals in the side, so we'll have to outwork them, outfight them, and make the game scrappy like the old English game rather than this new technical modern football. Otherwise, I do feel as if City will just pick us apart, score multiple goals without reply, and do it pretty comfortably. I think starting fast in this game before City can settle into their rhythm is our best chance of getting an advantage here. Scoring early would be massive against this kind of team, and we saw from the second fixture between the two clubs that we can hang on for a long time, only being beaten by a horrid deflection late on. We'll have to be prepared to defend for our lives in this one, and if we can, I reckon we will frustrate City once more, as we've been a bit of a bogey team for them this season. For a score prediction, I'm going to be predicting, surprisingly, a Chelsea win. I think the game will be a draw, but a late goal in extra time will steal it for Chelsea. So I'll be predicting 2-1 after extra time, with Palmer getting a goal in regular time, and my rogue shout is for Malo Gusto to get the late winner. For City, I reckon De Bruyne and Haaland will combine for their goal, with the big Norwegian inevitably scoring. We'll have to wait until the game to see if any of my predictions are correct, but remember there won't be a live stream after the game as I'm on holiday. But if you want more Chelsea content, maybe watch one of these 2 videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues!